What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is the last little batch of individual play tests that I will be doing, because as you know, I've now combined the two playtest and on feet portion. But Mizuno Alpha 2, a boot that I tried on and have now played with once or twice, but I want to give you guys an impression playtest. These are just getting the boots on is a feat in and of itself because of how grippy this Zero Glide is. But once you get your feet in, you are met with one of the most sensational and special locked in feelings that I have ever had from a pair of football boots. And that is saying something, because I have had some pretty incredible experiences with different football boots, and these are easily I think that if you were to create a tier list, and I'm also keeping, I'm also putting into account the fact that Vapor 17 might come out this year at some point, and other speed boots on the market, you know, Furon and those types of things. In terms of purpose-built speed boots, the only boot that comes even remotely close to this is the Puma Ultra 5, and in terms of like purpose-built speed boots, but they are still really no match for the Alpha. The Alpha is very purposefully named because it is the Alpha. It is the top dog. It is the best speed boot on the market, and if you don't fit in it, fair enough, but this is incredible playing experience. Incredible. Right away, you're met with one of the most intensive lockdown experiences you can have in football boots, because of how close to the ground you are with this sole plate and the stud pattern, the carvo, and the synthetic upper with the Zero Glide. It's like Mizuno was like in the board meeting, okay, so Alpha 2, here's a list of all the things that will make our boot more locked down. Which would you guys like? And they were like, yes, to all of them. But for some people, that is gonna come with some downsides, right? So if you don't fit in it properly, straight out of the box, you might find that you'll get blisters from these, because the Zero Glide is, I don't wanna say like aggressive on your feet, but you know, it's like sandpaper almost. Goal? No, nice, good save. And so, which is a great thing when you're looking for grip, but it's not a good thing if you're, you know, if you've got like a spot where your foot doesn't quite touch the outside, and every time you make a certain movement, it like rubs like that. That's gonna create issues over time. So just something to think about. Beautiful, what a day, what a day. All right, getting into some dribbling. This upper does have a decent amount of like a waxy, or it's not quite waxy like a GX or a Vapor is, but it definitely has that little bit of extra something, so that in wet weather conditions, you're not gonna feel completely left out to dry. Nice little joke there, left out to dry, even though it's wet out. Anyway, I digress. Let's switch camera angles, I'm being an asshole. Also, now that some of those other colorways have come out, I think genuinely the other two colorways, the silver and the white, the Buzz Lightyear color, the silver is incredible. I just had those on hand. I'll put a picture up on screen. Well, I won't, but Kelvin will, of a photo I took in the Ultra studio. And although this rainbow salmon colorway is really cool, it's very unique, it's definitely not even close to the best of the colorways. In fact, I think it's the worst out of the three. That being said, it still looks pretty cool, but I might be parting ways with this color for the silver one, just to keep, and that'll be like my pair of Alpha 2s that I have in my collection. I just think I like these, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think of this rainbow salmon colorway? Show you guys up close. What do you think? You like it? You not like it? What do you think? All right, I don't have my rebounder, unfortunately, but what I'm gonna do is just get this little warm up before the two shooting drills, and basically just pull back, touch, and really just try to whip it bottom corner. Probably won't try to hit top corner just because I don't want to freaking injure myself. But right away, and one thing, I've actually talked about this in a couple videos, but one of the benefits of a non-leather boot, like the Alpha 2, like the Vapor, like the F50, is you have basically a single material throughout the entirety of the upper. Obviously, what I mean by single material is that it's 5 layers, but it's the entire upper is one thing, as opposed to like leather in the forefoot, synthetic in the midfoot, or whatever. And oh my God, I need one more. That was really bad. And what that does is create a really, really fantastic playing experience, because when you take a touch here, you take a touch there, and you strike the ball, you get a very consistent touch throughout the entire thing, which is one thing that I really like. There we go. That's a lot better. And that's what the Alpha does better than most boots on the market. Like it's so perfect all around for what it is. All right, similar thing, just a little bit of a L turn, pull behind the back. So just here, touch, and then whip around the corner. Definitely, definitely one of those things that could be nice. Here we go. Good, that's fine. I'm not looking to like super strike the ball right now. Again, I'll go into shooting in just a minute, but the idea is to just get a good feel. I mean, or you could hit top ins if that's cool. Yeah, right. But I think for me, downsides of the Alpha, we'll go one more. Downsides of the Alpha really are kind of limited, in my opinion, to the sole plate being potentially too aggressive for some people. Because of the triangular studs and because of how close they are together, you're getting very minimal degrees of, if I'm up on my toes, and I might start incorporating this into videos, but basically if I'm standing straight at the camera and my toes are pointed straight at you guys, and I go up on my toes for forefoot traction, and then I pivot, at what point do I get so much resistance that the boot stops moving, right? So if I'm here and I go to there, that's about 35 to 40 degrees of turning. Ideally, you want that, right? You want 90 here, 120, well, 180, but 120 is about there, right? So if you stop and here, and then I turn, I want like 120 to 180 or even more degrees of rotation. These do not have that. They will on an FG pitch like the one back there, although that one's really shitty, so maybe not on a dirt pitch, although you should get that kind of rotation, but you kind of understand what I'm saying, right? So the downside really is in the sole plate, I think. Not the responsiveness, not the layout, it's just that it's not a stud pattern that I would recommend playing on artificial ground, even though I'm doing that in this playtest, because Mizuno actually makes an incredible AG stud pattern for this. In fact, the game that's going on between Heidelberg and Melbourne Victory, these must be like U15s maybe? U14s or U15s? Good game so far. One of their wingers is actually wearing the new silver in an AG stud pattern, and the AG stud pattern is freaking awesome. I've had it on feet a couple times, and it is wicked, and it's readily available. So if you're gonna play on AG and you want the Alpha, just get the AG model. All right, now to some proper shooting. Obviously, little dribble cones, little 1v1 to a shot. This is a great drill for wingers / outside backs, or even attacking midfield players. Ooh. Right down the pipe, love that. So one of the things that I think Mizuno does, well, the Alpha in particular does better than pretty much every other boot on the market, is the heel area. So I'd actually say that the heel on the Alpha is the best ever. Alpha 2 is best ever, particularly because you might be asking, Noah, you said that the Asics heel are the best. Well, yes, but there we go, that's better. But the Asics heel doesn't have zero glide. And zero glide, you put your heel into the back of this boot and it doesn't go anywhere. It is absolutely sensationally locked in. Zero blisters, zero downtime. And when making aggressive sharp turns or planting for a shot, zero slippage at all. And that's what I'm really looking for from the lockdown of a football boot, right? That's what we all want from the lockdown. So as you're coming and you're planting, in the Asics boots, there's like maybe 1 or 2% of moments when I slip, especially when my feet get really sweaty. But in a scenario like this, the Zero Glide completely cuts that out, which is why I think the heel area needs to be praised more for the Alpha. All right, so from a break-in process and style of boot, who this is gonna fit, etc., you can expect, yes, that's fine. You can expect this to fit the majority of foot shapes, unless you have stupid excessively wide feet, which, funny enough, I actually think you'll be totally fine here. That being said, this upper feels stiffer out of the box, but it is actually, in practice, a lot softer. So when, yes, it's a little bit more structured, yes, it's not as like, whoa, this is crazy soft, but it feels like it molds a lot better. And you can see that particularly in the lack of gaps on the inside and the outside of my ankle. I've got a little one on the outside of both feet right now, but I'm not using the runner's knot, which of course you can use. So for me, it's how does this boot actually perform from a break-in process? It's freaking amazing, man. It's freaking amazing. Don't expect it to be vapor levels of softness, because that's a knit element. But from a synthetic upper perspective, this is gonna mold way easier and way better than something like like the normal F50 model, which is just, it's fine. It's just not great. And the heel kills that boot for me. So yeah, I mean, from a full synthetic upper perspective, this is one of the most wild experiences. It's like, it's so locked in, and yet it still feels like it's molding to the shape of my foot. Not stretching, but molding, which is wild. All right, a couple free kicks to round out the playtest, and of course, the crossbar challenge. Just gonna try to loft it into upper right. A little bit too much fizz on that, I think. Try to downgrade it a little bit. Man, these feel so good. And it's my philosophy that a boot shouldn't, okay, how do I phrase this? There we go. A boot should, theoretically, if the sizing fits you well and the general shape fits you well, you should experience, like, the correct sizing comes from not fitting perfectly straight out of the box. That's not to say that you can have a perfect fit straight out of the box. I have a few boots in the world that, like, I'd never have to break in. But for the majority of people, a boot like this, for instance, my feet are a little sore on the outside. My toes are a little bit sore because they're a bit crumped. Crumping? Isn't that a thing? I don't know. Whatever. Don't look that up. My toes are a little bit squished together, but as the boot starts to mold and just sort of adjust to my foot shape, that's when you get the perfect fit. So when people are like, oh, my foot hurts, or oh, my whatever, yes, in certain circumstances, that is absolutely reason to get, yes, absolutely reason to get a new pair of football boots or a different pair of football boots. But for the majority of people, a boot like this, for me, the size fits well, the width fits fine. So it's just a matter of like, okay, get all the nooks and crannies sort of sorted out and broken in to the point where then it's not hurting anymore. That's where you get the perfect fit. The perfect fit doesn't come most of the time from having a perfect fit straight out of the box, because as the boot stretches and molds, then it isn't the perfect fit. Hopefully that makes sense. Right, last one. Little bit of a crossbar challenge, always. Play test, baby. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left cheek, right cheek. Here we go. Back. Second one. Oh, oh, nailed it. All right, next one. Here we go. Oh, too much. Way overconfident. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing to be confident, but that was cocky. That was just cocky. I thought I was gonna nail that second one. Let's go to the conclusion. All right, guys. Initial playtest for the Mizuno Alpha. Now, it's exactly what I would expect, and maybe a little bit more. I think the one thing that I'm most surprised by is the Zero Glide throughout the entirety of the upper, as opposed to just the back quarter, which I'll show you in just a sec. The addition of that extra Zero Glide in the forefoot means that every single touch you take on the ball, every single movement you have, literally everything is so unbelievably locked in that it's almost too much, but it's like, it's perfect. It's so hard to explain. But prior to this generation, the first generation had zero glide from here to here, which was incredible because it locked your heel in. I would argue, like what I said earlier, this being the greatest heel area that's ever been created on a football boot. I think this is, the Alpha 1 was pretty much same. It's minor upgrades to this one, but like basically the same. Adding zero glide all the way into the toe box creates one of the most incredibly locked in sensations ever. I think this is probably the most aggressive, like this actually tops Shadow 1, which in my opinion was like one of the most locked in football boots of all time because of that double layer upper, not Puma. The double layer upper on the Under Armour was actually created for more of that agility style boot, and they succeeded because it was so locked in, but obviously had issues in other areas, right? This has zero compromises. That's the problem, and I mean problem in the most positive way. Like that's the issue for every other freaking brand on the market with a boot like the Alpha. The Alpha has all of the barefoot sensation that you want while playing from a speed boot, the lockdown of like the most locked in sensation you could possibly have from a football boot. And it's got an incredible softness to this upper that anybody who, you know, like technically the Scudetta is a lot softer than this boot and will like stretch and mold, and it's beautiful. And I love it. I love it. It's absolutely amazing. But the Alpha 2 has the like 90% of that softness, maybe 85% of that softness, and literally 100 or 200% more lockdown, which is absolutely ridiculous. And look, I'm not picking on the Scudetta. As you guys know, it was number 3 in my boots of the year last year. Like, I love the Scudetta. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just, it's a problem that this exists for every other brand because it's so good. I think with this new upper construction, I think most people are going to fit in the Made in Japan model. I haven't tried the Elite model yet, but I'm imagining that for the price point, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be like, okay, if you're going to spend $200, why would you buy, and unless you don't fit in it and then don't buy it, why would you buy anything other than the Mizuno Alpha Elite if you're going to spend $200, right? So this is where this is a really hard video to make for me because I'm like racking my brain, like what do I call bullshit on with Mizuno for this boot? I think the only thing that you could say about this boot is if you are looking for the most comfortable football boot on the market, these are nowhere close. These are not meant to be like slipper comfortable. That's what I mean by comfortable. These are meant to be the best performance football boots on the market, and that's what they are, period. End of story. There's nothing better than these, I don't think. From an objective performance, like performance metrics, lockdown, heel lockdown, upper wrap to your foot, multiple lacing loops so that you can have the flexibility to have even more tight lacing system, flexible lacing so that you can actually get the tightest fit possible, the lack of upper stretch, the carvo in the insert. Like I could go down the entire spec sheet, but you get what I'm saying here, right? So for me, incredible football boot. I'm so excited to continue to wear these. I might sell this particular pair and actually just buy either the Buzz Lightyear ones or the silver ones. I kind of like the silver ones, so I may buy the silver ones and sell these so that I can just wear the ones that I really like the look of, even though they're the same boot. And then on the 1 month review, I'll probably maybe comment on my time with these ones, even though it'll be the same as the other model. So, all right, guys, that's gonna wrap up today's video. If you are interested in extra content in written form, I actually do a lot of like any video that you would want, right? Comparison videos between this and a Vapor, or top 5 speed boots of all time, or whatever. All of those aren't gonna be videos anymore. They're actually, just because I don't have the capacity to film, but I do have the capacity to write. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start creating well, I already have a weekly newsletter, but that weekly newsletter is turning into essentially a second YouTube channel, basically. So all the content that you guys have in the comment section, like the questions or, hey, can you compare this boot and this boot? I'm just gonna put that in newsletters on a weekly basis, potentially even bi-weekly basis. So hope you guys go subscribe. It's totally free, and you can go and support me there. NoahCavanaugh.com/newsletter to sign up. And you just put in your email, and then the weekly newsletters come out on Monday morning USA time. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share it with a friend if they are considering the Alpha 2. As always, be awesome, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.